Morning, this is Mr. Willie in West Virginia, and I believe it is the 19th of March, 2018. I want to shout out to the Marshall fans and the Marshall people, and maybe speak a quick word about the university itself and why I'm a Marshall fan. Someone asked me last night why I was a Marshall fan, and I got thinking about it, and there's a lot of reasons. In November 14th of 1970, I was a sophomore in high school in Nyack, New York. Don't remember the crash then, where Marshall lost most of their football players. But when I came to West Virginia, quickly learned about it, and of course a lot of you have seen the movie We Are Marshall. What you don't know is that crash was an incredible tragedy to the sports world, but also to Huntington, West Virginia, and to the Marshall University, because they lost most of their football players, but also because it was the most tragic thing that had happened in a string of unfortunate events that had started in 1960 for them. Between 1966 and I think 1969, they hadn't won a game. Their stadium had been condemned, so they were rebuilding a stadium. The NCAA had suspended Marshall for maybe over 100 recruiting infractions, and I believe the MIC had also suspended them for the same reason. So they were having a whole bunch of things go wrong, and then they had the plane crash. How's that affect me? Being in New York, well, the way God works is that I came here to West Virginia, and a lot of my friends have gone to Marshall. One of the things a lot of people don't know about Marshall University, too, is they were one of the first universities to not look at color and just recruit guys for their abilities. So they had a lot of people of color that played for them. They also were one of the first universities to find a soccer-styled kicker. I played soccer my whole career because I was too small to play football. So I thought that was an interesting fact. But here's another interesting fact. The home I live in is the home of Frank Loria, Frank Loria's wife. And she grew up in the home that I live in. And a lot of the teachers that I've worked with went to Marshall, and I've helped people move to Marshall. My best friend was a Marshall alumni. I like Marshall because it's a smaller university, and there's an intimacy and there's a strength there. And when you come back from losing most of your team, if you've never seen the movie We Are Marshall, get it and watch it. It's very inspirational. But that's why I'm a Marshall fan. God bless West Virginia. We all watched West Virginia, pretty much crush Marshall last night in a game, and not so much crush, but they played well. I mean, they definitely played well. They're a great team. Much respect for Coach Huggins. I know a lot of people like him. A lot of people don't like him. He's a great man. I think he's a great coach. He'll go down in the history and probably go into the Hall of Fame as a great coach. No, I don't hate WVU. I just like Marshall. And with that being said, now I'm going to go into some word, because when I woke up this morning, there were a lot of things on my heart. Being a Marshall fan, I know a lot of people were hurting after the day, and maybe trying to figure out how they're going to face some of their friends, and because it wasn't a great game. It started off good, but it got pretty bad as far as Marshall fans are concerned. But it's funny. That's, for me, I come from a generation of people that learned how to handle loss. We learned how to handle the absence of peace in our life by holding our heads up and just walking into situations. I'm a guy that's been married and divorced multiple times, so I've known what loss is, not just in the fact that you lose people out of your life, but also you lose things. And if you get in the right court with the right lawyers or the wrong lawyers, actually with the wrong lawyers, you learn that you can lose a lot of your stuff. I have lost homes. I have lost vehicles. I have lost custody of children. And more importantly, you lose your self-worth. You find out that what you work for seems like it can be given away when maybe even you're not at fault. And that's the hard pill to swallow. I know for some people, maybe in Huntington, they feel pretty bad this morning. Some people from Marshall University. But you know what? Hold your head up and realize that life isn't always about winning. I woke up this morning thinking about the fact that sometimes it seems like God completely tears your life apart. And I think sometimes he allows that to happen because we're not putting our lives together correctly. I got an opportunity to pray with someone from our church yesterday whose life was just kind of going all kinds of different ways. We prayed for a young lady that was leaving to go away to rehab for a year. I'm constantly talking and praying for people. There was a guy that contacted me on Messenger last night, said that his life was falling apart. And, I didn't really have an answer for him because I didn't know what the situation was. But I do know that I've had my life fall apart enough to know that it's not the end of life. It's not the end of the world. A football game, losing a football game, losing a basketball game, losing a game period is not the end of the world. It's a life lesson. And if you can learn from it, I forgot to tell you one of the other reasons why I love Marshall is we have a young man on that team, a great young man, and he went to our church. His family goes to our church. His dad is a good friend of mine's. Their family, his mother's a good friend of mine. She's a nurse friend, and love the young man. And I don't say that lightly. I really admire and love him for the type of young man he is in a generation where children can be selfish and messed up. He's a great young man. He's a leader, and he's only a freshman there. Shout out to the West family. Love you guys. But anyway, life can bring about things in our lives that cause us to be unresting or not having a peace. And one of the things that we talked about in church yesterday, and one of the things that I've experienced lately, is that God can bring peace. And he doesn't just bring peace because we need peace. When we move close to God, when we draw close to him, he draws close to us. And what happens is Jesus is the Prince of Peace. He commands peace. So when he says to you, peace be still, that's why he was able to speak to the storm and say, peace be still, and it was just peaceful. Because what he speaks is. So yesterday we prayed for someone, the first thing I did was I said, you don't so much need peace in your surroundings, you need peace in here. And so we laid hands on this particular person, and I just spoke peace to her. And, when you speak peace to somebody, it's why I end every one of these videos with shalom. Shalom is a Hebrew word for the complete peace. It's a peace that is just complete. It's not a piece of peace. It's the whole piece. Some of you need peace right now. I know it. I mean, I just being around people on a regular basis and listening to what they talk about, you can tell right away what's going on in people's lives. I know a lot of people are going back to work and they were Marshall fans and they were thinking, how are we going to face all the WU people, and you know what? You just go. I mean, peace to you. The other thing I thought about was the fact that we live in a world that has a lot of darkness and a lot of chaos. And Jesus, it's not just me getting on here and trying to shove Jesus down your throat. I'm trying to share something that I believe will benefit your life, that will turn your life around, that will help you to live a more peaceful life. Jesus, in John, in the Gospel of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. If you got things going on right now that are a little bit dark, if you got things going on right now that are a little chaotic, things that are just tearing your life up, things that are causing you not to be able to rest, not to sleep at night, not to be able to do anything but just think about what's going on, you need Jesus, because he brings light to darkness. He brings peace to chaos. He brings an organization to things that are all messed up. He can build up what's been torn down. In every one of my marriages and divorces that I went through, when I was married, I was following the Lord, and sometimes things just went south, and for whatever reason, for a lot of times it might have been, just the selfishness of our human nature. And again, I always want to make sure I'm not indicting or trying to make you feel like my wives were at fault or that they did something wrong. They did what they felt they needed to do. I did what I felt I needed to do. And I'm not placing fault, and I'm not telling you I was right or they were wrong. But life went a different direction than what I had planned it to be. And in that, I felt unrest and felt a lack of peace, and I'm sure my ex-wives did. I continue to pray for every one of them. I continue to pray that God will bless them and will give them the desires of their hearts. There's no ill will from me toward anybody, because there have been benefits that have happened to me through relationships with people my whole life, whether it be good or bad. I've had good relationships with people, and I've had bad relationships with people. My job as a man of God and as someone that says he follows Christ is to be Christ-like. That means that no matter what happens, I am to not work out things in my flesh. I'm to work out things in the spirit. I'm to seek God to find out how he wants me to do things. And a lot of times for me it was just to find that place of peace again, and to forgive, and to really kind of forget some things. And I want to tell you, some of you people who say you forgive somebody, but you keep talking about what they did to you. Some of you people that say you've forgiven and you moved on with your life and maybe even gotten remarried to someone else, but you're still mad at the person that was married to you before. That's why God hates divorce, because it tears up lives. And because it's not his perfect way of doing things. Is it a way out? Is it a way to get away from somebody that may be abusing you? Is it a way to escape, turmoil? Sure it is. It's a way out, but it's not God's perfect will. It's not God's perfect will that we marry someone, get upset with them, and divorce them and walk away. It's not God's will that we get married and have an affair or do things with someone else or get attached to someone else when you're married to one person. That's not God's perfect will. His will is that one person leaves their family, another one leaves their family, and they become one, and they create another family that benefits both families. In America, we don't do that anymore. It's a shame. I know we point the finger at other cultures, but I have a lot of friends that are Indians. They don't divorce a whole lot because they make a commitment, because it's an arrangement that is made that benefits two families, and they would do anything to keep from dishonoring their families. So they stay together. And I've got a lot of friends that have been married many, many years, and you know what? You work your way through stuff. Unfortunately, I've just never been able to have a relationship like that. And you know what? It's just the way life has gone. You hold your head up, you seek the Lord, and you keep walking life out. Because it can be very devastating. It can cause a lot of unrest. But some of you that maybe are having problems and feel like, gosh, your life is falling apart, you need Jesus. I'm just going to tell you straight up. You need to seek Jesus, and he will give you a strategy for how you to handle what's going on, and maybe help you to rebuild your life, or to keep it from falling completely apart. Or maybe he will let you fall apart and let it all fall apart so that he can begin to build you back. He loves when we are broken. When we come before God broken, God just loves that. He loves to kind of piece us back together. Because really, honestly, we fall apart and we have all these pieces and we think we're never going to be the same again. And that's the truth of the matter. You're not. You're gonna have some memories and some scars. But you know what? When God begins to put you back together, you're going to be better. And I can tell you that not because I've read scripture and because I've got all these great words, but because my life has been that. I have lived through devastation, loss, not having things go the way I wanted them to. I think I love Marshall University because it's a university that had all these things go wrong and a string of things, and then have a plane crash that devastated the whole community, and then they rose up from that. The human experience is about facing failure, not running away from it or trying to avoid it. It's about facing it, right in just looking at it and going, you know what? Okay, I know I'm defeated. I know I lost, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to win, and I'm going to win again. For you that aren't winning, I pray you do. My time with you is up. God bless. Shalom.